Howdy, Non here at Information Highwayman, and you are once again watching a Friday Ace of Spades website review. And today you're going to learn do's and don'ts for organizing and presenting information on a homepage. That is do's, not dos. You're going to particularly learn 4 different things which are somewhat disparate and unrelated to each other in a sense. So I've chosen this kind of catch-all title to cover the things that I'm going to talk about today, which are all illustrated on richbatsford.com, and thanks to Rich for nominating this for a review. As always, we'll be going through the Frodo conversion rate checklist, which stands for first reaction, orientation, desirability, and offers, and not forgetting the all-important Odo, which covers the main elements of the checklist. And of course, remembering that attention equals contrast plus eye path. When it comes to those elements, just having them there isn't enough. They have to get attention in the right order. Let's go to the website now and have a look at first reactions. How does the site make me feel? It doesn't make me feel bad, it doesn't make me feel great. It looks a little amateur, and that's largely because of those gradient boxes. All these delightful things here. That gradient that you see going down just looks kind of, I don't know, early 2000s maybe? You can't say 90s anymore. Generally speaking, it's not bad looking. The photo at the top is kind of cool, and you know, it looks fairly slick. There's nothing terribly wrong here. It doesn't make me want to go away. More importantly, orientation. Am I in the right place? Now, the real question is, what is this website? What does Rich Batsford do? And looking through the copy itself, introducing Valentine Court debut album, so okay, I see that he is a musician. However, that said, and we've also got this handy little photo here, it would be good to see something like that in the actual tagline, or if there were a tagline. We've got Rich Batsford written here, and there is space over here to put something like freelance musician, or I don't know what Rich would call himself, but it would be a good idea to have something there that would tell people just a little bit more about the site that they're looking at, because that's the first place that they're going to look. They're not going to want to have to trawl through the body copy in order to get that kind of information. Desirability. Do I believe I'll gain more than I invest? Well, in this case, it's a little, well, there are a couple of elements here that we need to talk about. The first thing is that presumably Rich wants us to buy his album, and Listen Now will take us to his music page, where we can actually listen to the album. Presumably from there, yeah, we can download it. Just click on the buy link above. Unfortunately, I do not see a buy link. Oh wait, there it is. Okay, so that's working a little bit slowly, but that still works, that's fine. I would say that it would be a very good idea to have a little player applet here, which will allow people to actually play what they want to listen to without having to click on the link to go through to the next page. It would be a lot simpler for them, and it would make engagement a lot more immediate than if they had to click through to another page to be able to do that. The other thing is that we've got join the mailing list here, and it says please sign up for free MP3. I'm not generally inclined to enter my email address into things that are badly written like that. Please sign up for free MP3s, or please sign up for a free MP3. In either case, though, I want to know a bit more. I mean, a free MP3 isn't really much to go on. I can probably find a free... I can create a free MP3 myself. It won't be anything particularly interesting. It would be good to have something a little bit more specific. Please sign up for a free copy of my hit single blah de blah. That would be a lot more interesting to me. So it's a good idea to be specific in the benefits that your prospects are going to get when they sign up for your mailing list. It's also a good idea to have a little bit of a talk about, it doesn't have to be more than about a sentence or two, but you need to explain to them what the mailing list is about. Why is it interesting to them? Just giving them some kind of freebie in order to get their email address will probably make a lot of people, including myself, suspicious. It's like, why do you want my email address, man? You're just going to give me something so that I can give you my email address. It's data harvesting. You're going to take it and sell it to someone. So you need to explain to them what the mailing list is about and what they will receive when they're on the mailing list to make it a little bit more enticing. Offers. Do my goals match the available options? Well, we have quite a few different goals here when you actually stop to examine the page. We've got all of the navigation links. Those are pretty standard goals, so that's okay. We've also got these, which represent presumably different places that we can interact with Rich in some sense. So you got iTunes and Facebook and RSS and Twitter and YouTube and what is that, MySpace? Yeah. We've also got the mailing list. We've got a MySpace link. We've got follow me on Twitter. We've got all these read more, listen now, and so on. So we've got quite a few different objectives, and none of them really stand out. Especially these ones. These kind of blend into the background of the image. And this kind of sets off the issue that I want to talk about today, which, as I said, is fourfold. The first is that you need to be very careful when you design a homepage in particular, but really when you're designing any page, to eliminate anything which doesn't really need to be there. So for example, these links up the top right, what is the purpose that they are fulfilling for a prospect when he first comes to the homepage? Is he going to want to click on those immediately? Is he going to want to click on those from the homepage at all? And if not, what are they doing there? Generally speaking, a prospect, if he actually wants to find you on Facebook or Twitter, or if he wants to connect to subscribe to your RSS feed, he's going to go either to more specific pages to get that information, or he's actually going to Google it. So if you want to have a link like for your iTunes, then it would be much more sensible to put that under music than it would be to put on the homepage. You need to make sure that the objectives for your various pages match the actual functions of the pages themselves. And the same for things like, Twitter, follow me on Twitter. There's not a huge amount of point to having that on the homepage. It makes much more sense to put something like that in the Facebook links on your contact page, if you have one, or down in your footer, which you currently don't really have. You've got a nice white bar instead. Those are the sorts of places that people look for those sorts of things. It also makes sense, once you've decided on what the objectives for your page are, what you want people to actually do, to make them much bigger so they stand out. So listen now should probably be much more visually dominant on the page. It should be using the ACE formula, attention equals contrast plus IPath, to stand out far more, and putting it underneath the image of the cover itself, that would be a good way of getting it to stand out more, because if you stuck that cover over on the left hand side so it's in the natural IPath, then people will look at that before they read the text. They'll move into the text and then they'll move into the call to action. Now the second thing that I want to talk about is with regard to the actual presentation of the information here. You've got some odd things going on. Most of the headings, for example, don't make a huge amount of sense just by themselves. We've got introducing, which is like a top level heading, but introducing is not a sentence unto itself, it's just a word. So what's it introducing? Okay, it's introducing Valentine Court, but Valentine Court is in a different color and doesn't actually seem to be part of the heading itself. So immediately we're a little bit confused. What is the introducing? Obviously this is a content section here, but what is it all about? Why should we care about what's being introduced? It would make far more sense to say something like introducing a new album, ... and then Valentine Court underneath. Similarly with mailing list. I mean, mailing list is a very functional description of what you're going to be getting here, but it's kind of weird. Something like join my mailing list or get free updates on my mailing list. Mailing list by itself sounds very... it sounds stilted. It sounds like It was put there by a programmer who was kind of entering a descriptive tag for that box that would then be filled in later by the copywriter who was going to actually write an interesting heading there. Same with dates. Dates should say something like notable events. Latest news is okay. Latest blog posts is okay. The obvious one is Rich Batsford. That should say something a little bit more interesting as well. The whole thing kind of reads like someone whose second language is English. And if Rich's second language is English, then I guess I owe him an apology. But even if it is, you still want to have your homepage, if it is going to be in English, you want it to be written in good English. Another thing that is causing problems here is, I mentioned before, the use of these content boxes and how the gradients they've got on them look a little bit amateurish. Well, it's my feeling that when you have a lot of content on a homepage, A, you need to cut back on what's there. So you need to decide on whether all of these content boxes are actually necessary. But B, if you do decide that the information is supposed to be there and is serving a useful purpose, you need to separate it using less so much boxes and more white space. People look at boxes and their eyes, because the boxes all stand apart from each other, and because they all have a bit of contrast going on, you see the gradients here are all getting your attention by having a kind of, well, it generates contrast with the grey and the black. So they're taking attention away from other elements by getting that contrast going, and they're generating an impression in your user's mind that there are a lot of different things on this page that are competing for his attention. If you put your elements or your text into boxes which are simply the same color as the background, so it doesn't actually look like the boxes are there at all, and you simply separate them with a judicious use of white space, it creates far less of that impression of competing elements and far more of an impression of an overall flow of text. The last thing that needs to be said is that the text itself is a problem because A, it's too small. This is actually only 13 pixels, I believe. Yep, 13 pixels font size. And B, the white on black is very, very difficult to read for an extended period of time, and especially with a small font size, it makes it very hard to read to begin with. It turns your reader off. He doesn't actually want to start reading because the contrast hurts his eyes. So if you, for example, make it white on black on white and make the font size a little bit larger, you will notice that it makes a huge amount of difference. Suddenly it's a whole lot easier to read, and of course putting it into a single column makes it a lot more inviting as well, so that's something to consider. But if that other column is necessary, then by all means use that. Alright, what should you take away from this if you are not in fact Rich Batsford himself? On your homepage, and indeed on any page of your website, get rid of anything that doesn't really matter. You need to have a look at all of the elements on your page, what your page is supposed to be doing, and see where there are discrepancies. Get rid of anything that doesn't really matter. Spend extra time wording your headings or headlines. Make sure that they represent accurately and engagingly what the text or the elements beneath them are all about, so that your user doesn't have to spend time working it out for himself, and so that he doesn't get a kind of functional understanding but without any interest factor. Thirdly, avoid content boxes if simple white space will do, because it creates the impression of competing elements. And fourthly, use a sensible font and color for your body copy. Avoid reverse text, which is white on black, and avoid very small font sizes. Usually 16 pixels is a good size to go for. Okay, hopefully this has been helpful for you. Email me with comments, questions, or hate mail, or if you would like to get your site reviewed for free, it's normally a $99 value, you may email me as well, non@informationhighwayman.com. Free reviews are reserved for members of the Ace of Spades, so you can sign up for that for free. It's all good for you, really. Everything's free, straight shooting marketing tips in the Ace of Spades. You can sign up for that at informationhighwayman.com/ace. And thank you for watching. Until next Friday, I am Non.